Public Safety Committee meeting for Thursday, August 28th, 2025, 9 a.m. If Assistant Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Brooks?
Present.
Councilor Fleming?
Present.
Councilor Harder?
Present.
First item on the agenda is reading of the minutes of prior meetings, August 1st, 2025.
I move we waive the reading of the minutes and accept them as presented.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Brooks, second by Councilor Harden to waive the reading of the minutes and accept them as printed. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Old business, we have item 11552, a communication from the Traffic Commission regarding the number of vehicles towed under the city's winter parking ban procedures. We have got the Deputy Chief, and the Purchasing Agent. What's your official title?
For this one, it's probably the parking clerk, civil enforcement director, I would think, for this one.
Deputy Chief.
Yeah, so the letter that I had sent to the committee was drawn up through the Traffic Commission, and we compared the numbers of the old system when we had the parking ban set dates. I think it was November 1st to April 1st.
I think it was, 15th.
And the numbers of how many cars we towed during those years compared to when we went to the new Code Red system. And if you look at the numbers, we're towing a lot more cars. Especially when the first snowstorm hits of the year, I think this past year we towed in upwards of close to 60 cars. And if you look at previous years before that winter ban, we wouldn't even tow that many in a year of that parking ban. And it just seems like it's making it harder for the DPW to clear the roads. It's becoming a safety issue with the roads not being cleared in time. And they're spending more time having to come back, call the police to get the cars moved. And those are only the cars we towed. Those aren't including the number of cars that we actually made contact with people to get them to move the cars. In a snowstorm, officers are spending 3 to 4 hours trying to get cars moved so DPW can clear the roads during the storms. And it just seems like it's taxing on the resources and limited resources we have and extending the time that it takes DPW to clear the roads, not to mention the people that get their vehicles towed and the tickets that are written. The parking department has to deal with, and they're usually not happy. I mean, the Code Red goes out, everybody knows it. We get people that say, I didn't get it. We go back and look. There was a message left on the phone number that they had given. So it just seems like it's taxing on the community and the resources that we have. And we wanted to take a look at it and see, is the Code Red the best way? Or we presented a possible hybrid, shortening the time frame of the parking ban, going from December to March, as opposed to November to April. And then any storms that happened outside that, we would go on the Code Red, which would present more of a hybrid model of the parking ban. In my years with the parking ban, when it would go into effect, we would go out there, we'd put reminder tickets the first couple nights. Hey, this could have been a ticket. Remember, parking ban's in effect, has the dates, the times. And then by the first storm, we had almost no cars out there. And DPW could get out there. Everybody was aware, parking ban's in effect. They knew how to make arrangements of where to park. And it seemed like there wasn't an issue. We weren't towing as many cars, and the roads were pretty much cleared. You'd have maybe a handful of cars you'd have to get people to move, and for the most part, we'd be able to make contact. They'd be parked out in front of their homes, and it wouldn't be an issue. It just seems with this model, we're spending a lot more time trying to do due diligence and make contact with those people. So we're not ticketing and towing everybody, but it's also taxing when you only have 2 or 3 guys or officers on a shift, and they're spending 3 to 4 hours doing that and trying to handle emergency calls at the same time. And the DPW having to backtrack roads they plowed because they couldn't finish plowing a road because there was multiple vehicles on it.
If I may, I usually field a lot of the majority of the complaints with tows and everything else. And a lot of the people say that they weren't aware of the snow ban or anything else, which I find truthfully very difficult to believe. We live in New England, and in January, when there's a threat of snow, I think everybody's got it in their hand. Oh, there's going to be snow tomorrow. And then to say, I didn't know about it, and there's, a foot of snow on the ground. It's not believable. And quite frankly, it inundates what we need to do. And again, what the deputy chief is saying nicely is that 2 or 3 officers trying to get a hold of 100 people because they left their car out at night is a bit unreasonable. It really is. And I think, it's an accountability thing, and we'll continue to do whatever the model is. However, you're gonna continue to still get complaints if it stays this way. And the roads are not getting cleared in a timely manner because the DPW does have to come back. And I don't know if you've ever seen what the roads look like. It looks like a slalom course because they have to go around all the parked cars. And then they have to come back a second time to redo what their work they've already done. So now we're duplicating the work and we're wasting the time. So I think during the anticipated snow months, it makes sense to make sure that nobody is on the road. I get it during November or even the first part of December, but I mean, January and February, it's not if, it's when. So, I mean, and maybe my point of view on this is a little harsh, but the truth is that we live in New England. We have to clear the roads. It's a safety issue, so.
Well, mine's a little bit different. I don't have the longevity in the position as these guys do. Obviously, I've only known this particular van. I will say over the last 2 years, it's been really rough. Again, so just so you know, if somebody gets the ticket in tow, they come to me, sometimes they walk to me, and they say, my car has been towed, and I need to pay this so that I can get my car. And I don't have any flexibility on the tow, I only have flexibility on the ticket, the violation. If they're not a repeat offender and they come in and they're not disrespectful to the department, we typically waive that, but we don't have any ability to waive on a tow. I hear what both of these gentlemen are saying on communication. Again, sometimes we'll get somebody that says, hey, I didn't know there was gonna be a snow ban, and yet for 3 days we've known there was a foot of snow coming. And then we have to go and check Code Red to see if Code Red actually communicated with them, and then we can see that they've picked up the phone, but we don't necessarily know if they picked it up and hung it up. Either way, it's on them to listen to if they pick it up, right? So I will say that last year particularly was a nightmare. I think the first 2 storms, there was 60 tows, if not more. We received the appeals on all those, not all of us, we received the appeal on anybody that wants to. I think the other thing that's frustrating to me is the signage in the overnight parking lots that allow certain things, and I think we fixed this over the last year, but also our code said that you had a parking ban to a certain amount of time, and then after that you had a certain amount of time where you had to move, but that time was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes it either overlapped or it didn't meet. So like we do a parking ban until 6 o'clock with flexibility that we offer the mayor, and then they had to remove themselves from the parking lot from 7 to 9. But then from 6 to 7, what do we do? And they start plowing, they start towing, and then all of a sudden now the city's at fault for towing at the wrong time. So I think the signage in the lots needs to be changed too, because the signage in the lot still says November 15th, I think it was, to April 15th. So whatever we do, we need to figure out that as well. And the only other thing I'd also offer, and is if this is, whatever happens, I think we need to also do a good inventory on our overnight parking. I think we have some options to offer more, with Rear Main Street being constructed as well as Waterford Street school building. I mean, I think there's some overnight parking that could be added there as well to help. But I think what they're saying is 100% true. I mean, if you set up, we're seeing this with the parking meters. We set up habits for 5 years where people didn't have to pay into a meter. The first couple of weeks when we went back to the meter, we did hundreds of tickets, violations issued. Now we're seeing a couple dozen. So we need to, we've set up a habit for people like, I can park on the street unless I get a phone call. And if they don't receive that phone call, then they think they can still park there even if there's gonna be a foot of snow. And it could be that they went to sleep and, like, they didn't listen to their voicemail. But I think setting up a habit where, whether it's December, January, February, or January, February, you need to find alternative parking, then we'll always have that solution there. And, but, again, I follow the lead of what the code tells me to do, and then my opinion lies in abatement applications that are submitted, so.
And a lot of the complaints that I get as well, to kind of echo what Josh is saying, that people want the tow like wiped away. That's a private business that does that. I have absolutely no authorization or no ability to wipe that tow away. The ticket, obviously, we can have consideration given the circumstances, but the tow is the tow, and that's the expensive piece. That's 120,
79.
yeah, whatever
I
it's.
think
It's set.
79, something like that.
So that's what people are usually enraged about when I get the call, and it is an extreme. It's expensive for a lot of people, for most people.
Now, to be clear, traffic commission has just sent communication, there's no ordinance provided, for the committee to, it's just a recommendation.
Yeah, a recommendation to review and look at and see if this is a possibility. And then obviously from there, we have to go and draft an ordinance on that. But this is just our recommendation based off what we're seeing, complaints we fielded, and the numbers that we were able to pull from our database of the police department.
Just to add, just to answer that too, like I've been around the traffic commission for a while now too, because when I was next door and then when I was sitting in your seats. And I think that the traffic commission feels like this is an issue that needs to be discussed. And obviously you are ultimately the people that can change it. So we think that it's time for an educated kind of reasonable debate about this and whether or not it's working or it needs to be changed, or it needs to be changed in a way we don't think of, but I think that's what, at least, not to speak on behalf of the traffic commission, but I think that's kind of what the motive of this discussion is. So.
And this is not without, we understand that some homes do not provide adequate parking for their tenants and residents. We understand that. But something's got to give in these types of situations. Either DPW, who's already understaffed as it is, has to duplicate their work, or we figure out a way to address this. So, I mean, obviously, it's up to you to decide and have, but a conversation probably, should happen at some point, though.
Open up for discussion.
Yeah, I was gonna say that this is, now is the time to have the conversation.
Yeah.
So it's in place with enough warning for people, we do it. I remember when this was changed as a resident, just reading about it in the paper and so on, thinking, okay, this will be interesting to see. And I guess I would say the current system works if everybody's buying into it and are, alert enough to say, okay, this storm's coming, I need to get my cars off the road. I will say that just driving around over the last 10 years, I'm amazed at how many more cars there are on the street, parking on the street. It's not like it was 10 years ago, certainly not like it was when I was a kid, where most of the streets were empty, families had one car and it fit in the driveway and that was that. So, I do think this is something we need to look at. And it's interesting that you shorten the time period a little for when a parking ban would be in place. I think that makes sense, given that that's when we're focusing on the most severe times. Although I will also say that I've seen foot
Halloween.
In October.
Yeah,
sure. In April.
Right.
Sure.
Yep.
And I think everybody has to be, this is one where we all have to work together to make it work.
Great.
The other question I guess I would ask on this, we have a parking ban, the mayor calls a parking ban. If people aren't moving their cars and it's taking us time to move them, would it make sense for the mayor to call the parking ban 2, 3, 4 hours sooner than he has been, to give the city a chance, I guess it's the police department a chance to clear the streets so that the DPW can do the work?
Well, I think it's probably the old, when we were kids and you're listening on the radio to see if your school's gonna be canceled. And I think that the superintendent, when they make those decisions, is you're waiting as long as you can to make that decision, because you don't wanna, because it is an inconvenience when you make these calls. So I think that, having conversations with him, I think he's waiting to have the most information, and, because if he makes a snow ban call, then the snow misses us, then,
Right.
you know, I think that that's probably goes a lot into the decision-making process. Plus, they consult with the DPW director, us, you know, to find out like what we're seeing for trends and stuff, but, yeah, I mean, anyways, I apologize, I kinda got off there,
No,
but.
that's all right, that's all right. That's-
To clarify, were you saying start the snow ban
No,
4 hours earlier, or just make the call earlier?
start it 4 hours early. I guess I would say start it earlier so that if he says, well, if the snow and they need to be plowing at 10 o'clock at night, and he normally would make that call, let's say at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, does he make it at 2 in the afternoon and say, okay, this is when it is, which gives everybody a chance to work?
If they work together, absolutely, Counselor, but, if, again, I think it's a, you know, we're expecting the snow to come, but if it doesn't, and, you know,
Yeah, well,
I know what you're
I
saying.
lived through that too, so.
No,
My,
no, I know.
my concern is I think we're relying too heavily on, electronic communication.
Okay.
With that, we're having set timeframes. People know, that, hey, this is what it is, it gives us more time to promote that these are the dates, you know, this is a set time, as opposed to
With
a
the parking
storm, yeah, with a blanketed parking ban, for set dates from whether it be December to March or January to March or what, so be it. That's easier to promote and put out than a last minute parking ban, even in 5, 6, 7 hours. We're relying too heavily on people to be checking their electronic devices and relying on that electronic communication almost too much.
And relying on them to move their vehicles.
Right.
Well, I mean, to your point, Counselor, too, like, the snow forecast comes, and we know 3 days ahead of time that we're gonna have a foot of snow. To the chief's point, maybe it misses us, maybe it fizzles. More often than not in Gardner, it's typically the high end of the snow, right? So we've given, not we, but the resident has seen for 3 days, we have a snowstorm coming. So they know for 3 days, and then it's like, what's the man gonna do? Is he gonna call a ban, is he not? What we found a couple of times last year, at least a couple of times, was somebody was waiting for the band to come and worked third shift. So they went to bed at, you know, like 2 in the afternoon, the snow band was called at 4, snow wasn't gonna come until 10. They woke up to find their car not there at 10, you know, like, so I think there is, as the deputy chief is saying, there's some expectations that as a person who lives in the area we live in, that the snow forecast is gonna warn you. And then there's their expectations of they need to get that call, and they wait so long, and then they make a decision. Some go to bed, some do this, some do that. There's a lot of unknowns that have to come. And again, it's not like we're blowing a whistle at the fire station anymore, so the whole city hears that there's, you know, no school. We're waiting for a Facebook post, we're waiting for a code red call. Does code red fail sometimes? You know, every now and then, you know, like, so I think there are a lot of intangibles.
I guess I would say in either case, because we're asking people to take their cars off the street, I think the city needs to be conscious of where these cars are going. And so, do we have enough? And I don't really feel it's up to the city to provide free public parking for all of the landlords for their tenants. However, that's kind of what the issue, that's kind of where we are. So what parking would be available, and is it convenient and workable for the people that have to take their cars off the street? And that would be in either case, if you have a parking ban or if you have the current system.
Well, I think with the old ban, and just, unless there was some type of state of emergency called, we didn't tow cars anywhere but between 2 AM and 6 AM under the old ban. Like, unless there was a state of emergency, like we were getting like a major nor'easter or something like that, they shut the roads down, and that does happen sometimes. But we were only predominantly, but the DPW also knew. They were able to line everybody up at that point in time to start their routes.
Yep.
And the roads were clear. So when they're going through, I mean, they can make 2 passes on a road and it's clear if there's no cars there. But if there's 25 cars on the street, and you might have to come back there 3 or 4 times, potentially, to clear enough of the road to make it, you know, suitably passable. And that's really not a great usage of, you know, the DPW's time. quite honestly, and I understand the other side of it, but, and then you know, we all see the complaints that come in about the roads, and it's like, yeah, because the cars were on the road. You know, you gotta kinda look in the mirror too here. And the truth is that the majority, yeah, I know, there's a lot of cars, there's a lot more cars. We used to see cars parked on in front yards, walkways, but they got them off the road, and the roads were able to be cleared. And we used to do the whole, initially, like a week or two, a couple days before, we would always give the warning tickets, like, hey, this could be a ticket. But anyways, I just wanna make sure that we understand, like, there's competing interests here.
Right, oh, yeah.
And I understand that, but we gotta find a way to bridge us in the middle, because it's, personally, from what I've seen, since this new, it is, I don't see it as successful.
And when there was an overnight parking ban, how would things be handled during the day on the snowstorm? Because then
We would find the people usually, because a lot of times, and again, we're knocking on doors at 2 o'clock in the morning to have people move their cars. I don't know about you, but I don't really particularly like to get woken up, and usually the officers are met with some hostility too sometimes. So that's something we want to avoid anyways. We want to avoid the confrontation if we need to. Getting into an argument with somebody about moving their car at 2 o'clock in the morning just really isn't, you know. But again, I know the competing interests, and that's really up to, for you guys to decide.
I would answer, I have two answers for you. One, that's what the hybrid model would be too. You'd have the existing snow ban, December, January, February, whatever you do. You'd still use code red for any storms outside of what the snow ban would be.
Yep.
So if there's a snowstorm that you know, like, it's gonna be a 2-day thing, then that's when the snow ban, that's when code red comes into play to say this is different than the norm. But I also wanna answer your question about.
So you're saying there would be an all-night parking ban, but you'd also use code red to
Establish a longer
to
snow ban,
override
which
the
is,
fact that we have it.
which is what I think other cities do too.
Okay, right.
I do wanna answer your online parking, because we get this question, we'll start getting this question October. Where's the all-night parking, you know, where can I park overnight, where can I park if I need to put my car? There's parking spots in the West Street parking lot, the Connor Street parking lot, I think both, so behind the L House as well as across. Back in the Knowlton Street parking lot against the Brown buildings is all-night parking. The Bullnose parking area across from the Paramount where the meters are, that's all-night parking as well. The parking deck, the lower section is all-night parking. The problem we have there is those are taken by the tenants up top that come down below, so that's also an issue. And then South Gardner, behind the South Gardner station has some. So there is definitely a need for more inventory on all-night parking. I mean, regardless of what we say about, like, it's not up to the city to provide this all-night parking, it's up to the landlords, it would be good to find other locations. That's why I would propose, as we move forward, things like Rare Main, getting more all-night parking spots, Waterford Street, again, there's a lot of parking down there that if you tell them they have to be, I mean, also, I think I'm sorry, I think there is, all-night parking, I think, the Pleasant Street building now for the senior center. So we were just to move some of that parking down there as well. I think you get a little bit more down there where there are some multis that could use it, because now if they have to park all night, they're coming up to West Street and getting a ride back, right? So I think there are some opportunities for all-night parking to add some more inventory, and I think that's something, as the parking clerk, that I'd be recommending to the traffic commission too as we move forward.
Rear Main Street is still on schedule for December.
Yeah, so I mean, you're probably not looking at something too concrete this winter season, but for
Right,
the
but
future.
if it stays on schedule, it might be something to plan on for this
Certainly.
winter,
Yeah,
to make sure it's in place when it opens.
yeah.
Okay, I'm set.
I remember when we changed this parking ban, I was on the council at that time, and I voted for the change very hesitantly. What I see is everything you three gentlemen have said. I myself think sometimes change is not for the better, okay? And this doesn't work in a lot of respects. I think that, maybe from January to March, that might be doing it, but why do we feel that we need to, like, continually change it? Why don't we just bring it back the way it was? It worked. Yes, people complained.
Well, I counsel just, and I think, like, Councilor Brooks said, there are a lot more cars.
I
Like
understand.
I mean, even, I can tell you working midnights 20+ years ago, after our initial, usually first couple days of parking ban, it was a ghost town.
Really?
Like, it was legit a ghost town. Like, you could drive the entire section of one side of the city and you might see 2 or 3 cars on the road. But I do believe that there's significantly more cars on the road now. So if you just look at the traffic going from Gardner, if you drive east on Route 2 in the mornings, it's bumper to bumper. So I think that's a byproduct of people moving west, more population, houses are, they're densely populated, there's not a lot of room to put cars. So I think that is a contributing factor. But again, like, where's the give and take on this? I mean, it's both sides. So we could, the hybrid model is kind of a bridge, I guess.
Yeah, the traffic commission looked at it as, maybe if we shorten it on each end, 3 months as opposed to 5 months. 3 months would be a little more manageable for people to try to find parking where they don't necessarily have the parking, to find it for those 3 months as opposed to 5 months. Trying to kind of work with what the issue was on why it changed, but still kind of bringing it back to where it used to be,
Right.
but just shortening it and taking all aspects into consideration, people trying to find parking.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I think ultimately, whatever you decide, you're not gonna remove the code red option as well, because there's always gonna be a need to remind people of something.
Right.
About a snowstorm. So I think that still stays in place, and whether that's outside of your months or it's within your months and you're adding something new, I think code red is important. I think the more times you can communicate, the better, and that helps everybody. But I also think, like, to look at it on the flip side, as I sit and listen as a resident as well, if we're not clearing the roads properly and an emergency happens, then we should be doing the best to try to make it so it's safe. And I understand convenience and inconvenience, and it's a tough balance, especially for your constituents. So.
Thank you.
The numbers, they seemed, obviously they were high those first couple years, and then COVID happened. They seemed like they were on a downward trend. Do you know what the final number was for 2025 for code? Because it seems like it was a big jump from.
Yeah, I don't know what the final number was. I had put it on at the time I had wrote that, what it was, but I didn't look at the final count. In 2025, we really wouldn't get the final count till the end of December.
Is this for the cars towed?
This was from the letter from, and yeah, it was,
Cars
it was
towed.
towed.
Yeah.
So the only other thing that I could possibly, a mitigating factor in that might be the number of snow events too. I don't know if that would be a potential factor, like, some years we don't have as many snow events as we do from year to year. Like, if we have a heavy year, we're gonna tow a lot more cars, just,
Yeah.
it's just gonna happen that way, so, that might be a mitigating factor as well, Council.
Which is the other reason why we looked at November, eliminating November, because the snow events seem to start happening later in the winter. There was less in November. I mean, obviously there's one-offs and stuff too, but, and this year now we're gonna get hit because I just said that, but.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any discussion, questions?
Where are we going from here? I guess that's my
At this point,
question.
we have
When we're ready
communication,
to talk
so
about
we
it.
have communication, we don't have ordinance or anything to recommend voting on. Obviously, I think there's more discussion, public input would probably be wise before making any changes like this. So we can, vote to table a motion, schedule a public hearing, we can, recommend to put the item on file and continue the discussion. Would probably be better off keeping it, keeping the discussion open.
If there's a public hearing, who and when would the public hearing be? Is it this committee, is it the traffic commission, is it the city council? And I just don't know.
I would suggest that the meetings and the safety committee or with the full council for a public hearing rather than the traffic commission.
Okay. So, would we need an ordinance proposal first? Before a public hearing? Or
We can go either way. We can get a public hearing to get public input before crafting an ordinance.
Okay.
we should obviously have an idea of what the changes are gonna be.
Right.
I mean, we may find that if we go to a hybrid model, it's enough of a wait. You might get a couple years out of it where people are like, this stinks, I wanna go back to the other way and be more compliant to make sure they get out of the way.
I think regardless of any change, as the counselor said, it's gonna be tough for some people. And I think the question is whether the change from the old system to the new system, now that you've seen what, 5, it's gotta be more than, how many years has this been in place?
Oh, this was, what, 16, 17, 16?
So you have that much of a window of review. So change is tough for everybody, it's tough for the constituents, but it's also tough for your departments. The departments are saying that it's a change that maybe didn't work, and as you're saying, maybe the constituents can tell you whether it did or it didn't. In the end, it's, you know, like, if you change it again, they're gonna have some problems, and they're gonna have to build habits, and it's gonna affect some people, and the question whether or not, it's more of a positive change to do this or not.
Yeah.
As a traffic commission and as public safety personnel for them, we're just offering our opinion on what we see based on numbers and stats and stuff like that. Anyway, that was.
So if we had a public hearing, we'd have to have a proposal up here. To have the public hearing, correct? I mean, this is what we're not. I kind of feel like we have to have something concrete that people can comment
Yeah.
on. Yeah,
Now, there is a traffic commission next week,
Yep.
meeting next week. Could always add that in to try and have a more concrete idea. And then have a follow-up meeting to,
so they would produce some kind of a suggested ordinance to us, or a suggested plan,
I mean, in that was kind of our proposal was that hybrid model.
okay?
I think it would probably be up to you folks if you decide you wanna accept that, or if you want us to send it back to us and develop another alternate proposal and decide on which proposal should go to the public hearing. We can always do that. I think it's really on what you folks want us to do. You can always come back to us and we can try to revamp it.
Because this proposal is, I guess we're referring to this as a hybrid proposal because it's
Yep.
shortening. But it basically has all the elements, and after a public hearing, you could expand or contract the parking ban period, you could adjust other aspects of it if you wanted. Yeah, if they come back with a more formal proposal. And then we would have the public hearing,
yes.
okay?
You'd have to add it to the agenda for the traffic commission.
Yeah, we'll have to put it under new business and then we'll just have to have another meeting soon on it.
You still, it's like 40 hours, right?
Yeah, I mean, you
Oh,
could
is it
still, you
40?
would just add it to it.
Okay,
And
just
then
add it in the same.
it would be on there so we could make a vote.
Alright,
I only suggest that just because knowing there's a traffic meeting
Yep.
next week. If the committee would have one more discussion and just nail down, that, yes,
Yep.
this is,
absolutely.
we think would be the best proposal.
And if we did this committee did a public hearing, I'm assuming it would be done in the evening? Because you'd want the public to have a chance to come in.
Yeah,
And I know they have a chance now, but if people are working,
Right.
yeah, we can either do it in the evening, we could do it before a council meeting. That way if other councilors want.
what time will it be, yeah?
But if we did it before a regular council meeting,
Yeah.
then other councilors could.
That's true, they could be
If they
sitting
want.
in the audience too.
That might be,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
time-wise, work out better. Any discussion? Sorry?
No, I think it's great if we have a public hearing on that and keep this on our plate out there because winter's coming. And these gentlemen here have, it falls on them, you know, and they're telling us it's difficult, so we should pay attention. So, do you want someone to make a motion?
If we are not gonna have a motion on this particular item, we can always keep it open, for more time.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we're looking for more time on this,
okay, I'll second it.
and then, yeah,
Yeah, if there's no objection, we will take more time on this item. And that, we have nothing on the first time under the agenda, council questions, concerns, comments?
No, thank you, I'll thank all of you gentlemen for what you do.
All set. Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilor Harden, second by Councilor Brooks to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.